What is going on, Cowboy Nation? Welcome back to Primetime Studios. Like always, I'm your host, Primetime Phil, and like always, my co-host, GameTime Bryan. GameTime, how is it going post Super draft?
Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was going to say Super Bowl, but super draft, kind of failing draft, whatever you want to call it. You know, you have different people saying different things about this type of draft. We have our opinion, and that's what we're going to spill it here. So, anyways, how are you doing, Bryan?
People. What's up, Twiz? It was a really cool experience. I've seen many drafts. It's kind of what I thought it was going to be, but more as far as people. I didn't expect that amount of people to be rolling in. Where we were stationed, they were just rolling in and rolling in. And I was just kind of getting panicked. And I remember telling Phil, I said, there's got to be an issue with the fire marshal. Next thing you know, there was no movement, right? And we're like, "Oh, this is beautiful."
Weird.
Everybody's packed down the stage.
It was throwing us off, though. We were still like, "That's kind of weird." I just stopped all of a sudden.
Yeah, well, obviously the fire marshal shut it down. What's up, Brooklyn Joe? But I'm feeling really good. It was a cool experience, especially watching Mark Holmes and DMV do their thing.
Yeah,
this is me and Phil's first experience, but they were hitting every little thing after each pick. I kind of wanted to just observe a lot, and pick up stuff and do some stuff where I could. And I thought me and Phil, if anybody watched it, I don't know, we need to get it out there more. But we did do a post round one video, and we used our little pocket Wi-Fi, like my wife's Wi-Fi, and it actually, up until one point, it was pretty darn good. There was, like, towards the end of the video, it started getting a little choppy for whatever reason. But it was a great experience, Phil, man. It really was. I was happy we went.
Yeah, I was too. I was, again, like to jump on what you're saying. Seeing Mark do his thing, doing DMV, doing his thing. These guys have been doing theirs for a while. It was kind of nice to see the repetition, the patterns that they tend to have. While we're kind of just like, I don't know if you've ever done anything new, and I'm talking to the chat more than anything, I don't know if you've ever done anything new, and then everybody's just zooming around, and you're just kind of like sitting in one space, and you're just kind of looking like you're just observing, and somebody has to tell you to do something. It kind of felt like that a little bit because of how much there was going on. I mean, it was very good production on their side, even in the NFL. For example, I thought the location and how they kind of set it up was really good. It was a lot of walking, but definitely, I mean, how can you complain about everybody needs to walk? So it's just it's hard to complain about
but
that.
It wasn't just walking people. It was walking and then walking up like steps. Steps after steps after step. It wasn't just like walking. Well, it was like walking and then up, walk a flat spot, up. But it was fun, man. It really was. And we're gonna break everything down.
America's bird.
Very excited about it. It was a great time.
So as we started it off, I mean, we're gonna basically go through the draft picks per round, kind of who Dallas drafted. If you somehow haven't figured it out by now, we can kind of give you the breakdown of who they've drafted and what we think about the position, maybe what they bring to the position group, where we see maybe their future, just things that may pop up with the conversation of each one. You know how this chat can kind of go. It can start off on one thing, and next thing you know, you're talking about bobbing for apples or something. So I guess the first thing, I mean, with the first pick, I mean, obviously, we were not expecting it. It was just something. When we talk about, Bryan made a very good point on the video yesterday with Mark, where he says that it's a position that we haven't had for like 30 years of drafting, and it was a very big surprise because even though it was something that we said that was a need, it's just something still that was surprising when it actually did happen. So again, your reaction, what do you think initially?
I thought that as well. It's been 30 years. You said it. Well, I said it. You said it. We all, it's been 30 years since we drafted an interior lineman.
Rhonda studied.
Yeah. So, very surprised. People get caught up, and I made a video earlier today. I put it out, but
Brooklyn Joe.
basically, we had an opportunity to get the guy that everybody thought we wanted.
What's up, Rhonda?
We had an opportunity to take Osiris Torrance twice and said no.
No, exactly.
So Nolan Smith, we had an opportunity to take him, and we're gonna break that down. But just with the first round pick, man, I think it really is a great pick, man. And if you saw the video of the locker room, you saw them go to Will McClay. Jerry Jones just sat there basically, and clapped when they made the pick. So what would you do? And the bottom line is Will McClay stated it. It's been a long time since they had a defensive interior rated that high on the board when they were picking. It's just, and that they've gone down the road of offensive tackle, like a couple of times, whether it's Travis Frederick, whether it's
thank you, Rhonda.
Help me out here. Martin.
Zach Martin,
right
Tyler
tackle.
Smith.
Zach Martin.
Steele.
Tyler Smith. So we've done that before. So, and I was watching today. I was watching a Cowboys break, and they were talking about it, and they were saying, last year when we had Hankins got hurt, and the guy we got from Houston, or our interior that we kept to get rid of.
You talking about Connor Williams?
No, the defensive guy, the defensive lineman
Tristan
that we
Hill?
lost this year.
Oh, you're talking about Ridgeway.
Yeah, no, the other
Watkins.
guy that we kept.
Oh, okay.
Watkins. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. We'll get there.
He got hurt, and we couldn't stop the run.
Oh, you're talking about Hankins. You're talking about Hankins. My bad. Okay.
Yeah, we lost Hankins, but then Watkins left
as well.
One of the games as well, and we were up. You know what? Up Schitt's Creek without a paddle. And this guy comes right in. DMV, I will disagree. He's going to start.
Yeah.
This guy can play he could play all three downs, people.
That's what I'm saying.
All three downs.
It's almost like other than having to come down for rest or anything, I think that other position, that second D tackle position, is the one that's the rotational one. And it's because obviously in Michigan they weren't asking him to do a lot of passing downs. It was mostly on the running downs that he would come in. So you can have the argument that he only comes in and he only does rushing downs and he's useless. Well, we'll see what Dan Quinn's going to get out of him. I mean, it could be right.
That's not true. It's just not.
And I agree that too. And I think that's where you see it get into some of the other draft picks that we have that people are kind of underestimating them. And obviously there weren't guys on our board. I think you made a very good point on your video today when you were talking about how the picks that that were made by some teams in general were ones that were very popular picks because these were the popular guys that were on people's radar. And I totally don't blame them for taking those picks. It's just a lot of the times we have been proven wrong by these Cowboys drafting class people that the scouting department of people that we don't think that we want, and then all of a sudden they become cornerstones for this franchise. And I think we're hoping, of course, because obviously you don't know what the future is for these guys until later on, but you're hoping that they do. They are role players, but with the success rate that Will McClay has had, I feel really good about Mozzie Smith coming in and making an impact.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited about it. Again, people are getting caught up with if you guys could only be there, and that was a long day for us.
It was.
So, and we're at the end of the first round. And it was just one of those deals where I didn't have anything bad to say, but we all get caught up in it. I'm not a draft guru. I take the little information I have. I take all these scouts and professional guys that put out their mock drafts and what they think, and then I bring in team need, and I put it in my head and I spit out. Usually I'm pretty good with that. Now, who knows about Will McDonald, because he went so early. Yep. We never got a chance to sniff Will McDonald. I said he would be our fallback. and he may. I mean, he very well may have been, but they had Mozzie 13 or 14. I don't know exactly, but on their big board. Whether you believe it or not, it makes a lot of sense hearing Will McClay.
He
And
was
I defer to Will McClay, Phil. Their record overall is great, let alone round one.
Yeah,
round one we hit.
When you look at the defensive tackles, I think definitely Mozzie was the number 2. Strength-wise there, I mean, you got to put him up there with, there's definitely a lot of people that have jumped on this wagon in the sense that, they love the power, 22 reps at 325, 33 at 325, and then at 225 it was like 34. So 33-inch vertical. I mean, that's a lot of pounds to be getting up in the air. So we'll see how all that's able to transition. He's able to transition into the NFL because nothing is guaranteed. And so, yeah, you want these guys to hit, and it definitely looks like the right formula to do it. It's definitely. I feel like there was two things that happened here.
I hear you, Twist.
There was two things that happened here, really, because it was just like they went for a need, but they went the best position at that need. So I can't say it was the best position, best player available, but it was definitely best in that position because obviously the first one, got to give the Eagles credit. Carter, definitely a great defensive tackle.
They had to take Carter.
Yeah.
They had to take Carter. So I'm not going to sit here and say it's a bad pick.
No,
they had to take him. It was the right move. Everything fell for them because
everybody else is what they were doing. Quarterbacks.
What's his name was already taken. He went to the Falcons. That would have been interesting. I still think they'd take Carter, but if Bijan is on there, then if he's on the board, then
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and so there was even the running back. Some of the guys that you thought would have been picked somewhere else. You got running backs that going to Atlanta. You got running backs going to Detroit. So I mean, it definitely shook stuff up. And that first round kind of just really fell. And there was like 4 or 5. And so that's why when and we've said this thing before, but I guess we'll say it on the channel. That way it's here on the video on this channel. But you're sitting there at 26, and the Kansas City Chiefs are trying to come up. Buffalo's not trading. There's other teams. Jacksonville's not trading. So, of course, they get to Dallas, and Dallas, they're right in that point where they're going to get this trade done. And, you got to ask. You got to do the due diligence and say, hey, who are you drafting? It depends on who you're drafting. You're coming up to draft somebody that we want, then no, thank you. And I'm pretty sure – I don't know if they're saying it's 15th in their board, 14th or 15th, and maybe they weren't thinking that, hey, we'll wait till the second round. But in my mind, I was thinking they were waiting till the second round. Kansas City tells them, we want to trade up for Mozzie Smith. Well, now you know two things. One, Mozzie's not going to be there in the second round. And secondly, you're giving up a guy that's really high on your board.
There was no way he was going to be there. Just looking at the whole thing, if you take him at their word, which if you look at the draft room video, it sounds like it. Mm-hmm. I mean, why would they lie about it? I mean, I think they're being more and more open about what they're doing just to shut some of the rhetoric up. But if he was 13 or 14 on our board, right, there's not much really to say. That makes a lot of sense why they didn't trade up for a particular player.
Mm-hmm.
What they do great. And he was a first-round grade for them as well. They only had 18 of them, so I don't know who the other players were. But he was a first-round grade for them. And just real quick, getting back to the Carter at 10, or did they move up a Carter?
I think 9. They went up to 9 or 8 or something. Yeah. They moved up.
Okay. Well, I don't know that I would have moved up because I think he would have been there. But you got your guy, Eagles, and there's all, and Twiz will tell you, I'm sure he watches it or listens to it. I know Cole's Cowboys deals with it on both sides. You got a few people that just want to run their mouth. You guys did the right thing. But let me tell you, it does not come without risk regarding Carter. It does not. There's a lot of risk there.
Yeah,
is he talented? Yes. Is he immature?
Yes.
Big time. The problem is he could be boom or bust. If he booms, then, but I'm not disagreeing with the pick. I think that was the right pick.
Yeah.
Just remember, Albert Hainsworth was a high pick too. He reminds me a lot of an Albert Hainsworth.
That's a good analogy there.
we'll see where he goes with his career. But getting to our pick at 26, and like I said, again, I thought the Eagles did a good job there. They didn't do anything risky. I told DMV and you last night, the Eagles did what I would have done. And I'm just a guy with a YouTube channel in my mom's basement, right? It's a metaphor. This isn't my mom's basement, but you get what I'm saying, right, Phil? But they didn't do anything spectacular other than make sure they got their guy. Now, when our pick came up, there was a few other options. I wanted Joey Porter Jr. just because the value, so I thought. But obviously, like I said before, everybody pretty much has the same evaluations. Somehow, some way, you know what I mean? Everybody seems to end up, there's going to be some exceptions with the quarterbacks and somebody jumping the gun early, like for a kicker in the third round, which I thought was ridiculous.
Belichick,
yeah. But so that brings up our pick at 26. We could have, I just assumed, based on all the chatter, that we were going to take
Nolan Smith.
I thought it was going to be, it was going to be Osiris Torrance. We were going to come full
Nolan Smith was, mocked to us for a while.
Those two games were in my head, right? So go ahead. You can. I was just out there, and then I'll.
No, I was just saying that's exactly. It's just like when you were saying tight end. The tight end in the first round, Bichon in the first one. These were all guys that kept throwing. You just saw it in mocks. It just kept repeating. That's who the guys they thought were going. And so
I put everything into a blender or whatever. I put everything in the computer and I spit out what I think. Buffalo, they think that they. They
thought they
us.
did. Yeah, they thought they were going to do something.
Look at the draft room when you made your pick. Look at Dallas's draft room when they said Kincaid. They were relieved. I'm not saying
they didn't know what they were jumping.
Going to go with him, but it didn't seem like they were.
No, they were actually relieved.
They weren't
that you
upset.
Took them.
Nobody went like this and slammed the table.
They
did that before. Buffalo thinks they're outsmarting people. Whatever, bro. You could have sat there and probably still got them.
Well, the next tight end that they had on theirs was Laporta, was the next ranked one. But of course, then you move into the second round and you get, who do we get? Luke Schoonmaker. So this one I think I had to say is a controversial pick. There's always seems to be one each year. Again, you can't help but like the pick. Is it the pick that you would have taken? No, if so it's, and I was saying to the guys, and this is no rip on him at all, but if Jason Witten was there, it's like, do you pick him in that first round? Do you pick him in the second round? So it's like, I think it's more of the position and who we had there that you missed out on that makes people disappointed. But
until you really look at it.
Yeah, until you look at his body of work. I mean, you really look at his body of work. It's very impressive, and you got a very big talented guy that's going to make a name for himself. If you have obviously you cannot judge. Dak and him may have a misconnection, and they can't connect at all. And yes, that's always a possibility, but you got to think about how this offense runs behind Dak. I think this guy really fits this offense perfectly, and unfortunately, it's again another piece that fits perfectly into what you have going. Again, it's just not the popular pick that everybody would have gone with.
Yeah, and again, once we have the information, I will be critical. Believe you me, I will be critical. I have done it in the past. I'm not. But when you look at what they did, okay, as far as Schoonmaker, if you put all of his traits and you grade it from 0 to 10, like Brian Broaddus said, he will be the best rated tight end on your team now.
Yeah, I agree. I like Jake Ferguson, but I agree with that. He is definitely the better.
I love Jake Ferguson, and in the West Coast, you need multiple tight ends. You need you need multiple tight ends. But he is a blocking savant, really. When he gets a hold of you, he blocks you.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
He could hold the edge, and we talked about it last night on Mark, with Mark. I brought up that me and you, that he will seal the edge. You remember those plays near the goal line where we're tossing the ball and it's Dalton Schultz against the defensive end, and Dalton Schultz whiffed 2 times. And you go, well, Zeke should have broke 1 tackle. Not when a guy runs as fast as you or faster and is way bigger than you. That's just the NFL, people. In an open field, fine, but not when you're trying to get started.
Yeah.
That won't happen with this guy. And he was in a very scheme-oriented offense with a horrible quarterback, people. It wasn't a good quarterback. Okay? And he was the one guy who was deadly in the red zone and always seemed to catch first downs. Mm-hmm. They didn't ask him to go out in the pattern very often because they needed him to block.
What's going on, Mark?
That was
Mark Hutchins.
That's just, that's just a fact.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. He was their main weapon in there,
now,
and
we
people
could
knew.
Go back on the. Well, like I said on my video earlier, I said, okay, now. Osiris Torrance was available at 58.
That's who we wanted.
Okay. He was available again, and they passed on him again for this guy. If there's one thing we do good as an organization, is draft. Sometimes we screw up the second round because we try and get greedy, go for a guy who has character issues, i.e. boss man fat, or coming off of surgery. With the linebacker out of Notre Dame.
Yeah, Jalen Smith.
Yeah, Jalen Smith. We just took an outstanding football player. Is he? I'm going to use this word one more time. Is he sexy? No.
He's a good-looking dude.
He may have been a 4th-round tight end, but you remember we drafted at the bottom of the round. He would never have been there
later
for
on
the following pick.
Exactly.
So that's my review of him.
Yeah, I'm excited about him. I'm excited about what he brings to this offense. I can see him definitely getting that a lot of touchdowns. And I mean, I'm not saying it in the sense that he'll be all over the place.
Dallas Goedert.
He's going to be a guy that Dak's going to be able to rely on. I know that for a fact. You can kind of just see it. Now, the next one I think is definitely, as soon as you saw we got this pick, you looked at me and go, oh, it looks like we got your guy. Overshown, DeMarvion Overshown. And,
DeMarvion, you nailed it. Yeah. You got it.
And a great guy. We talked about him. We were talking about him as we mocked him up. We liked him. We used the phrase jack of all trades, just not excelling at anything. He's not the king. He's not the ace. He's just a jack of all trades in the sense that he does everything pretty good. But again, we're hoping with the NFL putting up weight, putting on these things, and learning moves behind Dan Quinn, when to use them, when to see the ball. I think you're going to be able to see a hell of a linebacker. Just a guy that has a lot of speed. Sometimes he's out of place because he's still trying to digest what's happening in the backfield. And so you'll see him miss some tackles. So that's what I'm saying. It's just there's a lot of rawness there that needs to be kind of just honed in and showing how to do it. And when you got a guy like Micah Parsons that can show him some stuff as well too, I think you have a hell of a combination. We talked prior to the draft about who he kind of reminded me of, and of course it was Damian Wilson. And you've seen people make that comparison because it's very understandable how big he is. He was a former safety into the linebacker, and when you look at Kirst and when you look at Damian Wilson, I mean that's what they are. They're safeties that like to come down as a linebacker.
He reminds me of a. People say, "Oh my God, you can't." It's just in his build, his strength, his speed. He reminds me of a Cam Chancellor type. And he's going to fit. Dan Quinn came out and said regarding Overshown is that he hits like a Mack truck. He has 4.3.
What's up, Elena Walker?
Speed. He's got speed. He's strong, and his attitude is what they really like. He's going to go well with Donovan Wilson. He is a in the box guy. They're going to use, they're going to put a little weight on him, and they're going to use him all over the field as far as from the edge. Again, not who I thought they would take, but the fact that we have Dan Quinn, I'm excited because with a guy like Jalen Hurts in our own division, he's faster than Hurts, stronger than Hurts. You know what I mean? That gives you another body that can get on him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what you need. You need quick, strong, physical guys, not necessarily huge, mammoth guys. So, hey, I'm fine with the pick, man. He's going to come in and play special teams, which is what I said. People go, oh, really? Special teams? Yeah.
Yeah, I know. When they got excited about it and they brought it up during the meeting, yeah. I was like, oh, okay. That's how you're going to flex?
Yeah, I flexed that one. I knew that. That was the first thing I said. I said he's going to play special teams. But I don't know a lot about him because Texas didn't really know how to use him. But he could hit. He can run. And he's going to play multiple positions. That's what Dan Quinn likes. This is like the Legion of Boom. What would that be? South? Yeah, for them. So I thought it was good, man. I like the pick again. Shout out. I'm looking at some of these numbers, people. Just, I'll just stop with where we stopped. Mozzie, he wanted 58. He got 58. Luke Schoonmaker jumps into the 86. He takes over Dalton Schultz's number. And DeMarvion Overshone has 35. Okay. I got news for you. When the dust settles, he won't be in 35.
Yeah, just a temporary number for right now. But definitely a Swiss Army knife in the sense of what you can do within your defense, what he's going to be able to. I haven't seen a whole lot in coverage, so, I mean, to say that he's going to be a guy that can get out there, do some zone, I haven't seen a whole lot. But I like the fact that he has that speed. And so if he is out of position, I'm just interested. Once you see film on him where he's actually in Cowboy camp, seeing how he's reacting to the ball in the air, I think that'll change, obviously, your total feeling on him. Again, a guy that's a project guy, but again, needs just to be molded. And as we talk about the mold of what this defense is doing, when we talk about Mozzie, we're talking about an Overshone getting into the backfield, being able to help stop the run. We're talking about the next guy as well that can do a lot of both. Was it Viliami Fehoko?
Well, Junior Fehoko. That's what he goes by. Junior
Fehoko.
He specifically said, "Do not call me Viliami." I like Viliami. I think that's Samoan, right? Or something.
Yes.
So I like it.
Okay,
if he starts doing that Samoan dance,
oh man, that would be nice.
Knock somebody's ass out. I'm down.
So when we talk about this guy, when we see, I mean, you talk to his coaches when they speak to him, they talk about this guy is violent on every play. He's definitely hitting somebody, whether it's the offense with the offensive lineman, whether it's a quarterback, whether it's a running back. He was a guy that stayed on the field all the time. So, being able to get in a rotation where you're not that main guy, but when you get in, you're going to be refreshed and ready to go. They asked a lot of them in that defense in college, but obviously, depending on the level that you're playing at, was the competition that he was playing against as good as well. So, I mean, there's some question marks there, but the fact that he was able to produce when the time came, I mean, he stopped the run, he stopped
motor.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's there,
man.
And so when you hear about this violent little temper kind of thing, it's a nice combination, especially for the type of defense you're trying to change. Dan Quinn's trying to implement it. He's trying to get a little attitude in this defense. You've seen this in this past year when you, of course, had Sam Williams, Micah Parsons, his whole thing. J-Ron Kearse, the swagger that he brings. Donovan Wilson coming out of nowhere, kind of just definitely becoming a key piece of this defense where he was more of a question mark a couple of years ago. So you're definitely doing a good job of adding to the pieces.
People want to use him inside, I heard as well. So
yeah, get a little bit more weight, put in defensive tackle.
Inside.
Kind of like Goldston did, where all of a sudden you saw Goldston come back that next year.
He don't look that big, but when you look at his size, he's 6'4". He looks massive wide. But when you look at him and his... good luck, man. We're just adding...
Yeah, he's very powerful. Yeah, Rhonda, exactly.
Motor,
very powerful.
Yeah, and he's going to wear the number 93 too, people. Very, cool. I don't know if that'll stick, but it sounds like it might stick. But yeah, man. Again, small school guy doesn't mean it's not going to work. Again, I'm gonna rely on my scouts. We are a top 3 drafting team. I always think Baltimore is like the best in the league. Whatever they're doing, man. Baltimore nails it, but we're right up there. we just are. And
Baltimore. I would have to agree.
Stick
Baltimore
to
does do a
our
good job.
board and we don't try and reach for shit, I think we're going to be fine. And he's an intriguing pick. I don't know a lot about him, so I can sit here and say great, 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 great. I'm not going to say great. I like what I see. I like it. What did I tell you, man? I say get a guard. Now we ended up we're getting to it.
They're right here in this position where Fehoko was sitting. This is where we were talking about quarterback. Aiden O'Connell was another guy that they were talking about. Mike McCarthy was really liking that possible pick. Dan Quinn kind of walked out of the room already. So I don't know if they had already kind of planned on doing the quarterback or he had already made his case and kind of just walked away. But either way, they understand the situation that they are in, and they know they have some guys there in the quarterback position. You just definitely need the depth when it comes to that edge rush and just helping the inside as well too. Talking about the help with backup and depth, we go to our next pick, Assam Richards. Now this guy from North Carolina, left tackle right at the time, and you watch his film. There's definitely some potential there. I feel better than what I've seen in like Walesko and Ball. And not to say I know the coaching staff is very high on Walesko. Kind of getting that same vibe as way they talk about him with the way they talk about Richard Steele when everybody was kind of down on Steele. So you kind of wonder what you may have there. But this guy right here, definitely a big body. If he is able to move inside to guard, I think this could be a very good pick for because you got some depth here. I mean, you got the center. Nobody's really talking about Lindstrom that we got last year. That was a project type of whole thing, and so now you got this guy Richards. I think that could be a really solid piece for that possibility of a guard. What did you think about the Richards pick?
Didn't know a lot about the player. What I do know, I know Twiz is out in West Virginia. We drove through West Virginia. It was pretty cool. But Asim Richards is from Philadelphia, Phil.
No, is he?
Very, very athletic. I was listening to Will McClay on 105.3 The Fan, while I was working today, and they're very, very high on him. His traits are very good. And he's just very strong, and he's just a big guy. And I mean, I don't know a lot about him, but they're happy with him.
Yeah.
So again, he's going to play. I'm not sure if he's going to be a guard or if he's going to be tackle. I'm not sure, but I believe he said that he has tackle, most the athletic ability to slide in.
Okay. Well, I think, I mean, you saw him get in his block. He did a really good job of kind of cutting off his man. So, I mean, you definitely saw there were some times where he struggled with some speed to get around him. I think that's the reason why you got these going into these certain rounds. These are guys that you need to kind of just work with. But otherwise, I mean, a big body of his work was really nice. So I kind of wondered why he lasted that long.
Look at Rhonda breaking it down.
Yes, she is.
Asim is awesome pickup.
She's been hitting each person too.
Really nice experience. He knows what she's talking about.
Yeah, she does. She did her research. She ain't messing around. It was 40 minutes. Oh, okay. Somebody's talking. Who's talking to Alana? Is it Ultra Cowboy? Because Ultra Cowboy, I can't see. Unfortunately, I can't see him. So you got to kind of let me know what he's saying if he comes up. So, but yeah. So I mean, and then that's hilarious. No, I love the banter back and forth. But yeah. So I'm interested to see where what we're going here. Are we dropping somebody? I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody kind of is off the experiment with Josh Ball. So I mean, if he was to move on, or is this to replace, Arancon? Yeah. Is it maybe?
No. Well, Alarcon is playing
defensive.
Now,
I don't know about all that.
Yeah, good luck with that. I don't think that he's going to play defense for the preseason, probably. But yeah, who knows? I'm rooting for the guy. I'm fine with it. We needed an offensive tackle. Now, we did sign some in free agents as well. So we needed bodies. He's a good body. You're talking bottom of the fifth round. You know what I mean? So
you're not going to get the gem of it and stuff, but just be happy with what you got.
It would be great if he worked out.
Yeah,
and he was awesome because he's from Philly. Just like Eric Williams was. So that would be great.
So read the tea leaves, yeah. So the next one, as we go into the bottom of even a little bit, couple more, about almost 9 picks later, you get Eric Scott Jr. Now this is a guy that was coming up with not on really hardly on anybody's radar. When you talk about him and what the coaching staff thinks to him, when you think about what the coaching staff has actually said about him, they believe he's going to be what Kelvin Joseph isn't. And we'll see. We'll see. I mean, Kelvin Joseph,
6', 197, a super athlete. Super. He dropped because he ran a 4.7 at his pro day. But what they didn't say is he pulled his quad. So I got news for you. If you're running a 4.7 with a pulled, very sore quad, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah,
I probably couldn't walk. So they actually traded next year's 5 to move up to get him. So just remember that. They are very high on Eric Scott Jr. Look at his tape.
Al Harris liked him. Al Harris loved him. So.
Twiz knows all about Al Harris. Al Harris was a clutch corner for the Philadelphia Eagles for years. So then he went to Green Bay. But Al Harris is a damn good coach, and he loves them too. So I defer to them. So
yeah, and I mean that's the first thing that they did was
on the tape. I like it.
They referred back to last year when they took it at this corner and they started talking about him, and they referred back to last year when we were talking about Deron Bland and whether Deron was going to be able to do anything within this defense, and how much opportunities he's really going to get. And there was a lot of talk around there. And then look at Deron Bland by the end of the season. It was the guy that we were talking about that we felt better about the corner position going into the offseason. So, again, we're not saying that that's going to happen. But if you're one thing I've noticed is that when these coaching staff is high on someone, it's usually a really good thing. I mean, we may not be on board with the same players, but the ones that they stick to, the guys that are like, oh, no, Terrence Steele is amazing. You just got to give him time. You got to give Biotish. I know Biotish had a bad thing, but you got to give him some time. And, look where those guys are at right now. I'm not, whether Biotish will be a back-to-back type of Pro Bowler, we'll see. But we didn't have to hear his name too often last year, and I think that was, just goes to show you what this coaching staff is, even what I just say is the scouting, seeing what they've done. Ruben Walls, how's it going? So as we go into the, anybody else, anything else you want to talk about? Eric Scott?
Richards is going to wear 76, and Eric Scott Jr. for now, so is going to wear 37. But that's one of those. I think it'll change, but
Not very many people with 37s. Okay.
So
this next one, the 6th round draft pick is the one that, definitely cleared some people up. I know it made me kind of, I'm in the airport.
I was a little verklempt.
Yeah.
Anybody, of course, that's got kids would be the same way.
Yes. So you saw, of course, Deuce Vaughn getting drafted at 5'5", 5'6", whatever you want to kind of call him. A guy that, 3-4 inches taller probably would have been drafted in the 2nd round. So, his talent alone is just explosive. He's an explosive guy that can catch it out of the backfield. Led that offense with like over 1,900 yards from the line of scrimmage, and that's from catching. And he was the receiver. He led all receptions, and of course the running. So I mean, the guy was a weapon. And the negative a lot of times with these young guys coming into the league as small as they are is when they get hit, how are they going to respond? And when you look at Deuce, how he runs hard. He runs like a guy that, can take some hits and everything. But obviously, we'll see how that goes. But at the same time, he's got an amazing vision. He cuts he can see the defensive guy coming, kind of gives that cut to the inside, makes them miss, and so he's a very elusive guy. And I think behind this offensive line, he can get lost. And I think by the time somebody sees him, he's already full speed. So I think he can be a big, huge weapon for Dak. It's just he's a smaller target, so he's easier to miss if Dak overthrows him. But otherwise, I mean, he's a very, very good weapon. What did you think? Here's the thing. As I talk to you about, I'm asking you about your opinion. Again, Deuce Vaughn was a guy that you kept bringing up before the draft.
Yeah, I like Deuce Vaughn. You got to remember, people, this is not going to be a bell cow situation. We're switching to a West Coast. We'll see exactly what version of the West Coast. I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but it is, the West Coast. So he catches the ball great out of the backfield. His footwork is incredible. Yeah, he's not a burner, people. He ran a 4.6 at the combine. He's not a burner. And don't take this the wrong way, but either was Emmitt Smith. But when he runs, just from his legs down, he reminds me a lot of Emmitt. His feet never come off the turf very much. You know what I mean?
That's true.
They stay low. His feet's good. He's very shifty. He's not fast, but he's quick. Nobody ever seems to really catch him when he gets in front of them. I'm very excited for this pick. Now, he's not going to get the ball 20 times. You don't need him to. It's a perfect pick, and he's going to be number 42, by the way. Expect that to change. But what I really like about Deuce Vaughn is everything I said, and, oh, by the way, Twiz, his mentor in life over the last few years has been ex-Eagle Darren Sproles.
Same another college, short guy.
Same build, around the same build. I think Deuce is a little bit, slighter. You can't go wrong with guys like that. He's going to be a hell of a teammate. He's going to catch the ball out of the backfield. He's going to run, change of pace. You got him in the 6th round, people. He's a 4th round talent, but because of his size, he's slipped.
Yep.
So I'm ecstatic with the pick.
So as we all, I think just even watching the film, I mean, I'm pretty sure all of us have seen the film, and when he got drafted, of course, Rhonda definitely spilling exactly what it was. Son of a Cowboys assistant director when it comes to the scouting department. So you see the war room and how they, he breaks down in tears, and it's a great feeling. All that hard work that you've helped him and you've kind of helped guide him, and he earns that on his own. He every time that he was going to be talked about, he would step out of the room, so that way there wasn't any kind of biasness on there.
I agree.
And so the fact that he was able to, all that happened because of alone from his talent. So I mean, it was a really good, rewarding thing, and definitely something I think Jerry kind of really hit the nail on when it says that it's bigger than the moment. It's going to be probably bigger than what they realize, and that I could definitely see that.
Yeah. I don't care if you root for the Cowboys or not. It was a great story. I mean, his father is a head scout for the for the Cowboys. His job is to spot talent. Could you imagine if it was me and I see these guys going before my son when I know he's better? As a scout,
Yeah.
What's
up, David Wiley?
He's the best running back in the draft class. He's saying he's better than this guy, that guy, this guy, that guy. Who would know better than his father? But that being said, all this is heartwarming and feel-good story. Just turn on the highlights and watch him play.
Sugar Daddy.
That's more than enough, right?
Yeah.
So, love the pick. Love it.
Yeah, it was definitely a big pick. I was very surprised by it.
32 people in the chat, man.
I remember you. Oh, wow.
Awesome.
I remember you talking about him. He kept bringing him up and everything about, keep your eye on this guy, and they really like him, before we go in, and anytime that we were talking, all of a sudden you just slip it in there, and it was just amazing to see it actually come to fruition,
Yeah. Well, we did pretty good. It's hard to know what, we're not in the building, people. We're only given our take on what we may think they do, what they do. Phil actually digs a little deeper than I do as far as film. I kind of compile everything. I don't do any film work, but I'll look at highlights. I'll see what the scouts are saying. I'll see what they're, and that's how I get my stuff. But we all saw Deuce Vaughn play. We saw how good of a year, that K-State has had, under him. He's just a good running back, man.
Yeah.
I'm happy for it.
So with the seventh round pick, we get to our last pick. Not going into some undrafted free agents. We'll talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we'll do.
We'll
get to them another time.
With Jalen Brooks, the wide receiver out of South Carolina. Now this guy, I'm in the middle there. I'm not positive on him, and I'm not negative on him. He hasn't played a whole lot, and I think it's more been off the field character issues. Whether he's, he left for a whole season.
Take him, right, Phil?
Yeah, I mean,
if you
exactly.
have an off-field character issue, you'll take him in the 7th.
Yeah, and so, I mean, when you hear his story, he's played, he was like switched to 3 or 4 different schools. One of them he didn't even play for because of, personal reasons why he was out of football. He got injured. There was some, off the field things that he got suspended for in a certain season. I think the most I've seen him play, what he said was like 12 games in the season, which he did really well. But, it's just, availability. I think you're getting into that. I'm not, again, saying talent-wise, I'm talking about more of the character. But you get a guy like, Josh Gordon, where he was amazing receiver, but he was never available and just took up a roster spot.
This guy isn't Josh Gordon.
No, I don't think he's like that in that sense.
After hearing
but
what's been going on with him, it's just immaturity.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jalen Carter, he's not the talent initially of a Jalen Carter, but a couple of Cowboys came out and said, "Oh my God, we got Jalen Brooks. This kid is electric." This is not me saying it. This is his new teammates who have no reason to say anything positive or negative.
Yeah.
Good-looking kid.
Yeah, he has some talent. Like when you see him catch the ball down the sideline,
some
amazing.
Serious traits. That's what we're gonna go with. And when you this is the time when you want to take a chance on a player like this, where the ceiling is through the roof. Run after catch through the roof. 7th round, not round 1, 2. In my, to me, round 3, you could start going with guys like this. But, I love the pick. After seeing what I saw, he goes up and gets the ball.
Yeah, he does. He does.
He goes up and gets the ball. So, hey, we could use him. If he makes the practice squad, then so be it. If he makes the team, then he's balling out. Let's roll. I love the pick, man. So we needed a receiver.
So as we talk about him, we'll talk some undrafted free agents just because there were some of them that stood out to me. Obviously, everybody's talking about the fullback Hunter Lumpke. What was it? Lumpke?
Yeah.
But anyways, from North Dakota State, definitely
what
guy.
He said.
Yeah, a guy that basically gives you a fullback, State. And this team definitely needs that fullback. I think. And so there's some other guys, obviously some O linemen that we got. Isaiah Land, the defensive end. I think that one stood out because there was a guy right there that had 19 sack season, but again, it's the level of competition that you're playing at. Did you get those because of it's not as high? You're not playing against Alabama all the time, or you're not playing against the SEC. So you got to take that with a grain of salt a little bit, and there's a reason probably why he doesn't get drafted, even though his stats are really high. So we got obviously some tackles.
They gave him $200,000.
Yeah,
he's going to be our John Kuhn. He's going to be our John Kuhn, people. Remember, Green Bay had John Kuhn, a battering ram. That's what this guy is. When we had our most success was when we had Daryl Johnson battering ramming for whoever was behind him. Okay, so I'm fine with it.
You got another tight end in the group, of course, Princeton Fant, which he was related to Noah Fant. I think we were talking about. Doesn't necessarily mean that the talent transitions over to blood, but you like the level of just in the sense of what the family does. So when you see those families that are full athletes, it's a nice sight. You definitely get your. I don't say hopes up because it's not really that. It's just you're hoping at least that they hit somebody, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, you'll see. One thing I was going to point out was that the fact that they need to they need to sign some quarterbacks. You got to have this rookie mini camp happening at some point, and once you get people signed, you're going to need somebody to throw to these guys. It's not going to be Dak. It's not going to be Cooper Rush coming out here playing. Will Greer maybe. But with the rookie stuff, I mean, you need some guys. So you're just wait. They're just going to start loading up. These shouldn't mean really anything by this point. they're just going to be camp bodies, really, right?
Yeah. And probably, like a lot of these guys that we brought back that don't play, it's now or never, and you're gonna see a roster turnover. Our bottom of the roster is just gonna be turned over. We got. I don't know if you're gonna run through them. I have them right here. Tyrus Wheat, outside linebacker out of Mississippi State. Another guy, very athletic. These are all gonna be basically camp bodies with a shot to make the team. And these guys that are on the team, that are on the roster bubble, are going to have to step up, or they got to go.
Yep.
This is the NFL. That's why your career doesn't last long unless you're a big time player. You brought up Isaiah Land.
That's a big
very
one.
intrigued about him. Defensive end out of Florida A&M. He played with safety Marquise Bell. So Marquise Bell is,
of course,
familiar with him. He got the Defensive Player of the Year award. He had 19 sacks and 25 and a half tackles for loss. So this Isaiah Land, he's a big talent from a smaller school. David Durden, wide receiver, Florida. Don't know much about him.
No, and so you get a lot of these guys. Like I haven't watched a lot of these undrafted guys, and so
I'm just rattling the names off so people hear. Princeton Fant, I think he's a practice squatter. The best case, knowing what we have, unless we suffer an injury, God forbid. Earl Bostic Jr., offensive tackle out of Kansas. Yeah, Cowboys gave him. You learn a lot by what they gave him. Cowboys gave him $220,000 guaranteed.
Yeah.
He was
not for free. That's not just to come to camp.
Yeah, that's exactly. He's an offensive tackle out of Kansas. He made 25 starts at left tackle his final 2 years at college. He has a developmental upside. They have another one out of your old school, T.J. Bass, offensive lineman out of Oregon. The Cowboys agreed to terms. They didn't give him that kind of money, but
Yeah, some camp bodies.
Then we got this guy, Jalen Moreno Cropper. We're seeing his name when we're doing our mocks. And I don't know a lot about him, but he's a playmaker after the catch. He's 5'11", smaller guy, 172. I would say a guy like Cavante Turpin, he has to earn his way back on the team.
Yeah.
With a guy like this, speedy, huge run after catch. I mean, went to Fresno State. This is a big time kid as far as what he did.
So let me ask you a question, and we'll break away from this on that. With all the things that we've drafted, obviously we get into the next wave of free agency. The free agency where a lot of this chat, for example, is talking about bringing Zeke back. Whether they want to or not. It would definitely be good in the sense of the power game, but you do have a Ronald Jones. Not to say that's the same type of guy. You would need to sign him for less than $8 million to even make this all worth it. Because of dead money, but I mean, there's still dead money. Even if you do bring him back, it's still dead money on the cap.
I want him back, but I don't know that we're gonna get him. I wouldn't hold your hopes up, but sure, I want him back.
So if you had to pick a position, which I already have one in my head, what would be your position of need right now?
A position of need right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough one. If I had to pick a position of need.
See, I don't
think we have many.
I'm gonna say kicker,
needs, man. Well, obviously, there you go.
There you go. Boom, cheated. Got it.
Got him. But yeah, that's They already said they're going with a veteran, so pick your poison. I've already on record that I want Robbie Gould. I don't know Robbie Gould's situation. I know he's free, but I don't know what kind of year he had last year. I think he had a good year.
I think he had a good one. Yeah,
like a guy like that. Come on now. Stop it. Let's go get Robbie Gould or a guy like Robbie Gould. But if he's out there, get him. Get him. I would say a kicker. Our defense is shaping up real nice. So I don't know that we maybe one of those posts. Maybe do what the Eagles did and maybe grab a Ndamukong Suh or a Linval Joseph at the end of camp or something to add for depth on the line if we're going to flip a couple guys off the team. i.e., Noah Gallimore.
Yeah,
I don't
there's some
think
guys
he's coming
there.
back.
I think that's when you'll see.
Yeah.
I think you might see one or two something here in the next week or so, a couple weeks. But I think you're going to see that big push of releases that happen when now we got this rookie, kind of like the same thing that Atlanta had. They just did it a little bit earlier than most. Getting rid of the running back. They don't even want interviews. That's how quickly they made that trade. But
yeah, right.
Yeah, they're like, look, we're not even gonna have a discussion about this. But they seem, very smart coming off of that because obviously the injuries that he had, but still a great running back, but a very good running back that they replaced him with. So so you should start seeing that trade off. The
Bills got Puna Ford. Oof, that's a good pickup.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
No, not at all, man. I always like bringing the chat in there.
Twiz, good one. He wants to go to a contender, so he'll be back with us.
Yeah. Got jokes, I see.
But
anyways, we are going to break down more, obviously, of some of these players as we talk about more, and they get into the pattern of the Dallas Cowboys earning the star, going to camp, seeing how they are once.
Need to give Dak a little more, and I think it'll happen this year, especially with the scheme that they're going to run. They're going to run a scheme where he's not going to be holding the ball. So, let's see here. Rhonda, calm down. It says Rhonda and Twiz are going at it. Come on, Rhonda, hold your ground. So, yeah, I mean, I like what they did so far, Phil. Obviously, we need
I got it. I back
kicker. Hopefully, we bring back Zeke. I would really like that, but I'm not holding my breath on it.
No.
Somebody mentioned that Jordan Lewis should give up his number 2. I don't know that Jordan Lewis is going to be here. Honestly, so he, it'll all work itself out.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm excited about after this draft pick, after these ones. I mean,
I can't hear you, Phil.
Ooh, hold on.
Brother. I could sing. Can you guys hear me?
All right, how about that? Can you hear me now?
Oh,
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Remember those commercials? You know what? I already lost track because obviously I was trying to fix this thing. So
yeah, there's an echo with me. Oh, no, it's gone.
Okay.
I can hear Phil. Yeah, yes, he was gone for a while.
Yeah, it's how I come across on the broadcast. I got to send it to him, and he can't hear anything, so I have to send all the signal to him. It's
so
nice.
They could hear you?
Yeah, they could hear me, but you couldn't hear me.
Rhonda likes when I sing.
Oh yeah.
Chick.
That's but anyways, still a lot of off season, but Mark definitely. I like what Mark said in the sense that it's already May, man. It's already right around the corner.
It is flying.
They're going to be flying. Yes, I would have to agree, man. There's been news about what the Cowboys have been doing. We've gotten excited about Brandon Cooks. We've gotten excited about Gilmore, and yes, they're not the very very future. But the fact that we at least have them for the next year or two, couple, depending on who it is. But the fact that, hey, you're going into the season with a true number 2 on both. I love the fact that our secondary was very questionable about 3 or 4 years ago. Definitely a strength within this defense. And that's where you see the draft happening. Mozzie Smith, Fehoko, these guys to help with the run. The weakness that we did have. I mean, that's just something that you can't say, no, we didn't get run off. We know exactly what happened. They know exactly what happened. They were fixing the problem the year before. San Francisco getting past us, yes. They did it again, but at the same time, we made it a lot tougher. So it kind of reminds me of the Chicago Bulls, and you got Detroit Pistons, and Detroit's just kind of whooping up on them every year, and then eventually they slowly been chipping away at that. So let's see, let's hope that it comes to something once we get past them. But I like the fact that we're making it tougher each time.
Yeah, well, Twiz, and I agree with that. But Twiz is asking us our thoughts on the whiners, i.e., the Patriots drafting a kicker in a third. I don't ever see that as
a positive
thing to do. You don't draft a kicker in the third round.
I say the fifth is the earliest you ever go, unless of course you got a Janikowski.
You guys attacked me for taking the same guy in the seventh round.
How dare you take a kicker?
Jake Moody out of LSU. You're like, you ain't gonna draft a kicker. Well, he was good enough to go in round 3. That just made me look good. But you know what I'm looking forward to? Twiz, Phil, Rhonda, everybody. You know what I'm looking forward to is the schedule release. I believe it's going to be Thursday, May 11th. We may have to have a live stream for that night. Now, I know Mark was talking about it. So I don't know. We'll figure it out. If we don't go live that night,
it might not be because I think you might be in Orlando at that day. Yeah, that's exactly the day. You know, it's like, but anyways, either way, we got the next day.
Well, yeah, but we'll have
the next
our
day or
show
so. Yeah.
From your crib, and we'll go over all the games. How's that? How you like that?
So, no, I didn't think the Niners didn't pick the kicker. I thought it was the Patriots that picked the kicker. So he's saying that it was the Niners. I don't think that was correct.
Phil said Patriots, so I went with Phil.
That's what I'm saying. I remember Belichick, getting a kicker in the third round.
Let me look it up. I will.
Because I thought that was kind of interesting, especially with a Belichick type of move. So now you got us.
Why the Niners drafted kicker Jake Moody in the third. So Twiz is correct. That's why I wasn't sure if he says whiners for Niners or whiners because the New England Patriots. So that makes sense. So the Niners drafted Jake Moody. Regardless, good call though. I would not in the third round, especially when you had an All-Pro in Robbie Gould. Are you trying to save some money? That's stupid. You don't know what you're getting with these rookies. They could have the best leg ever, but if you can't handle... Now, he's really good, but if you can't handle the pressure, as you saw with Garibay last year, I went and toured this, the Star in June, and they were talking up Garibay like he was going to be the next, the great, field goal kicker, like the next Rafael Septien before he had that mishap where he went to jail.
Yeah.
So, probably a bad choice of guys to name, but maybe how about Chris Barr or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But yeah,
definitely some options. I think something we just need to be bringing some bodies to have some competition. I think this is something where we felt we did a really good job. Brett Maher did an amazing job, but then of course at the end of the year, man, it's amazing how one game can kind of just change everything, and it did. I mean, we felt really good. Money Maher all year. And then that last game of the season, man, that really kind of shook everything. And now you don't see him on the roster, of course. You'll see him all of a sudden with some other team that'll come out of nowhere because their kicker gets hurt. So hopefully he gets that confidence back. But it just sucks that it had to be towards the end of our season.
I feel bad for him because he set a team record.
Mm-hmm.
Just think about that. He set a team record for points in a season. That's friggin' impressive. He's just a mental midget at times. It happens. I know that's an offensive word sometimes. But that's the only way I know how to say it. These guys, and they're all the same way. You saw Dan Bailey. He go from being unbelievable to starting to second guess himself. Mm-hmm. They all do it. You remember we brought in the guy. Remember from the Colts?
Not Vinatieri. Vanderjack. Yep.
No.
Vanderjack. Yeah, I remember that.
By the time we got him, he was already hitting the streets.
Yeah. It was bad. That's the one that I always think about when we think about kickers doing a great job. Oh, he's the all-time leading scorer, most accurate kicker in NFL history, and then he was no longer that by the time he finished his career with us. So it's not been the greatest thing when it comes to and Angelica can definitely vouch for it in the sense that we're used to it as Seminole fans here in Florida. So the kicking it hasn't always gone right, but. So, Brian, before we get out of here, anything you want to talk about with these draft guys? I know we're going to talk some more about them as the offseason continues.
Yeah, no, we pretty much covered it. All I'll say is...
Great question.
Yeah, don't get caught up in, and like before we go, I'm not bowing. If anybody gets a chance, go watch my video on GameTime, Brian. I talked for like 20 minutes about like a lot of this stuff. But
that's not unheard of.
Mainly why... the internet has basically said, and they want us to bow to you, Twiz. They want us to say, you guys won. You guys are the best. You guys had the best draft. We are supposed to bow to you. But the problem is they don't give out rings for off season, and Twiz knows full well it's hard to get to a Super Bowl, let alone win one. So, hey, if this makes you happy that that these draft experts are saying that you guys did a great job, hey, I think you did a good job, a great job. But it don't mean much until you see it on the field. Last year, you guys won the draft too, and then Jordan Davis had his issues. You know what I mean? N'Kobe Dean couldn't get on the field, had his issues. So I would just say,
awesome. Go ahead. So I'm sorry.
I would just say let's wait and see what happens. And but it's good banter back and forth.
No,
this division's going to be better.
It's going to be better.
The schedule release comes out next week. We could talk about what games we're going to go to. Maybe meet up with you guys. That would be fun.
Definitely. I know Dallas does come to Miami, so I will be going to that game. So you just got to figure out what time.
Miami.
Yeah, I got to figure out exactly what time.
To stay.
Boom! There you go. Exactly. So again,
I see your girl saying,
"No, we already had him over. Only one time a year. That's it."
Yeah, right.
But anyways, I appreciate you joining us early on a Tuesday of the week. We wanted to get something in for you guys, talking about these draft picks. Not allowing a whole week to kind of settle because honestly we want to talk about it.
Thank you, Phil.
Yeah, so we'll see. Well, most likely we may do something on Saturday depending on how it goes. So I would see maybe
Stay
possibly.
tuned.
So again, everybody should be happy with the draft. I mean, everybody got better. I don't think anybody really went in there getting worse. There are some teams where you question after the first round, was the depth there?
Maybe we'll do a round table.
No, that would be a bad thing either.
Maybe something like that, because how much can you discuss that they already did? Maybe we can bring in a round table. Maybe bring in an Eagle guy, maybe Coles, maybe Loyal. I don't know. We'll figure it out. This could be fun.
And we still got some weeks. Yeah, we still got some weeks in the off season. Maybe get some guest appearances on here. I hope you. Yeah, no. This guy over here, he always has the grandest schemes and everything, like he wants to have those
he
big
does all the work. But, yeah. Coles, there you go.
He's
back in. See, yep. I sent out the bat signal. It feels like no.
Yeah, here we go.
No, definitely.
So, anyways, I appreciate you guys coming through. I appreciate, be happy with your draft, no matter what team you are, because we all got some weapons. We all got a guy in Madden that we can play as, that we get excited. Whether your team actually drafted somebody you might buy a jersey from, that's a whole different story. But I know for a fact that these Cowboys did get some playmakers within their positions and definitely some depth. So as Bryan sings you a nice good night, I appreciate you guys coming through. Hit the like button, give my comments, let me know how you felt about your team's draft, and if you want to talk some crap about our guys, you're more than welcome to as well. So again, Bryan, I appreciate you joining us. I appreciate you guys in the chat. I'll talk to you guys later. All right, peace.
Hey, we know each other. He's a friend from work.
What you do, you're like a little screw loose type of guy, and I thought that's how I am. So I'm digging it, big guy. I am.
Who are you?
You.
No, not me, you.
Yes, I am you.
Just answer the damn questions. Who are you?
GameTime Bryan, otherwise known as the mailman here.
Cool name. Superpowers?
Broadcasting from the illustrious Jobu Studio.
Come on, are you going to tell me who that is?
Primetime Phil, and of course my co-host, GameTime Bryan.
Oh, Jesus Christ, this place is going to explode. $100,000, I don't even need to hear it.